Hello and welcome to the channel. For my first video, I'm doing a book review. I wanted to review The Searcher by Tana French. This is actually the first book in a series of three, often referred to as the Cal Hooper series. Cal is, of course, the main character, and The Searcher, here it is. The Searcher came out, I think it was 2020, maybe 2021. So as I mentioned, Cal Hooper is the main character. He's a retired Chicago detective. He's retired, but it's not like he's 65 or like really old senior citizen. He's actually, I think, in his 40s or something like this. He's put in his 25 years in order to qualify for his pension or whatever. So he decided to retire because he is tired of all of the crime and corruption that he's seen over the years, and so he chooses to move out to rural Ireland to sort of get away from it all, to go out as far away from all of that as he can. But as life would have it, even though you might be trying to avoid trouble, sometimes trouble just has a way of finding you. So then this sort of wayward teenager named Trey finds out that Cal used to be a detective. Trey has a brother named Brendan, and Trey and Brendan were very close, but Brendan has gone missing, and so Trey tries to convince Cal to find out what happened to him. And I have to be very careful about how I say that. That's all I can say about the plot, because if I go into any more detail, I am going to inevitably sort of reveal some twists in the story, and I don't want to do that. I want to make this spoiler-free. And so the characters, there's Cal, as I mentioned, the retired detective. There's Trey, the sort of wayward teenager. There's also his neighbor Mart, who I really liked, is a really interesting character, and Lena, who is a potential love interest. And then there are several other sort of minor characters that are part of the village where he lives. And actually, they don't really actually live in a village. He lives in a very rural, sort of out in the middle of nowhere. So that's the setting, that's the characters. And so overall, I can say that I really enjoyed reading this book. This is a character-driven novel. French has a very distinctive voice. The prose is exceptional. It's intimate, it's introspective, and it's original. The characters, I really enjoyed reading about them. I wanted to get to know them more. I wanted to spend time with them. I really looked forward to the times when I could sit down and engross myself in this novel. And so just the overall experience of reading it was very enjoyable. Now, I was a little bit surprised when I looked online to just kind of see what other people had said about it. And the number one criticism that I sort of ran across was that the book was a little bit too slow. Some people said that not enough happens in the story. Now, it's true that it is a little bit of a slow burn, but to say that nothing happens in the story, I feel like that's a little unfair. That's a little bit exaggerating. There is plenty happening in the story, but some of that is happening, within the character. Like I said, it's a character-driven novel. So yeah, if you're expecting this sort of action-packed story with plot twists every 5 pages or so, then yeah, you might feel like not a lot happens. In an interview with French Online, she says that this book, The Searcher, is supposed to be kind of like a modern Western. And I think that description may give people the wrong idea, the wrong impression, because while I was reading it and even long after I finished, I definitely would not have thought, oh, this is any kind of Western, modern or otherwise. However, I do agree that after watching that interview, you can see that it does borrow from the sort of the Western tropes of that genre. One of the main things being that you have this stranger who sort of wanders into town, and in doing so, they're disrupting the status quo, and then, things start to happen, and that's sort of a catalyst for disrupting a lot of the sort of normal things, or what the village people, what the people living in the village would consider normal. I suppose also that Cal Hooper, the main character, could also be considered a kind of modern cowboy character in the sense that he is a retired detective. Now, he doesn't have any kind of authority. He doesn't have any kind of jurisdiction when he goes to rural Ireland, a completely different country. Nevertheless, he's still investigating missing person, and he's doing it sort of unofficially. And in doing so, he is sort of taking on that. He's not a sheriff of the town or anything, but he is the lawman. He's still becoming the lawman, and that trope, I guess, is very common in Westerns. So if you like introspective, character-driven mystery/detective novels, then you'll probably like The Searcher. Personally, I loved it. However, if you need a lot of action-packed, page-turning plot twists every chapter, then this may not be the book for you.